in addition to having these data pipelines be accessible outside of just silos, it's nice for data pipelines and code in general to be accessible beyond just people who are very serious developers. So there's advantages in terms of being able to share what you're doing, being able to easily collaborate on what you're doing, to having low code um, versions or low code implementations. Um, and you recently said in an interview with a French news network that you're having more and more of these kinds of low code um, functionalities within Taipei, and this seems to be a popular trend. Some people talk about it as like a democratization of machine learning or of data science. Uh, so, what do you think about this general trend, and how do you think that they're impacting the whole data science lifecycle?
Great question. So on that aspect, we see that first of all, I want to say that we are low code, not no code. So coding is still center stage with Taipei. I mean, it's very important. The level of customization and the tool has been designed really to allow for really fairly important customization. I don't believe, we are not in the field of complete auto generation of code here at all. We need Python developers. Taipei is for Python developers, but we want their work to be much more efficient and also much more successful. We want Python, I was saying, to go all the way from pilot to applications. We want Python to go beyond just in the building of pipelines for AI or other types of algorithms. Or we will go, nevertheless, in terms of roadmap towards a bit more automation, even more. For instance, I was talking about these components that will bring both graphics and backend objects. For instance, if you want to see a data node, so you have the data node graphical object, which will immediately show you if it's a table view, you'll be able to scroll to see that, or maybe some charts automatically for you to do that. We are thinking of having, of course, natural language interface, like where you can query your table or your and generate automatically typographical objects. So this would be good. So that's the level of automation that brings a lot of value to the data scientist and to the end user. So that's the kind of thing. But we will always, at this stage, I'm not seeing any move towards going into no code. And even our low code is still requires coding because we want the product to be open and be highly customizable.
Nice. So then, so this is like a. So what does it mean? So it's very easy for me to understand in my head the idea of no code. Okay, it's like, so some people are out there trying to build a no code application where you just click and point, you drag. So like a well-known publicly listed version of this kind of tool is Alteryx,
Yes.
where the idea is that you can build these visual pipelines and there's no code at all, just everything's click and point. So what does it mean for something to be low code? What's high code in contrast?
But it's true. The word local is undefined almost. I've seen low code that are very close to no code for me,
Mhm, mhm.
and low code where you still have to do quite a bit of programming, which is the case for Taipei. The reason is that if you look at the graphical interface, we don't want to have our hands tied as a developer. If I look at some no code application in terms of graphics, for instance, there are things I will not be able to do. I may want not only to visualize stuff, but I want to click on a particular cell in the table and I want a particular graphics to pop up and I want to update maybe 2 or 3 pages that can be impacted by that thing. So you need a very rich capability to deal with, kind of to provide a lot of freedom. So the freedom, which is about customization, is very important. You don't have that. The more you go towards the no code field, the more the more your hands are tied,
Yeah.
basically. So that's why we're not competing with tools like Gradio, for instance, which is a kind of things we are not. We are much more into the coding here, but we want to get rid of. We want to automate this to a level where you can build very quickly an interface. I can give you some examples, for instance, of some
Yeah.
customers where they developed. So this was not no code. They developed, for instance, in Python or in Java with nothing, really from scratch, an application, which was a machine learning application, using some standard tools for machine learning and even for the pipeline stuff. It took them like 7, 8 months, 4 to 5 people to do it with the graphics, the backend, everything. Um, the very same thing was developed in a month and a half with one person, 2 person, 1.5 person. So you basically divide the time by 3 or 4, the number of people by 2, and you get a factor 10 cost wise. So that's what we want, but we don't want to compromise on the customization level as little as possible, because we are developers. We know that we don't want to provide, for instance, the graphical stuff. We have no interest to look at tools like, we are not a BI tool, for instance, where you do everything, because we don't want read-only stuff. We have seen what these tools can do. They have their own market, but we want much more flexibility. We don't want to do that. So that was a choice at the start. So I'm not seeing a reason for us to change this. Especially now, we are seeing a lot of CIOs moving into Python, and the C Taipy as really a fantastic stepping stone for them to get into that world. It lowers the learning curve and so on, but they have serious application to build. When you build a kind of application for different companies I mentioned, usually large retailers or logistics or manufacturers, these are fairly heavy duty thing, graphic wise, backend wise. Most of the, if you were to do a fairly no code, yeah, you won't go very far. And again, our focus is really to have end users behind, people who will be using your algorithms, your pipeline on a day to day or once a month, depending on the situation. But these people are demanding. They always want parameters, changes, great graphics,
Yeah.
and so on.